Hi, I'm Shay Connolly, host of today's 5 Questions. Here with me in the GovExec studio, I have Shane Canfield, CEO of WAEPA. We're here to get a little sneak preview of the federal benefits open season that is quickly approaching. Shane, thanks so much for being here.
Great to see you, Shay. Thank you.
Thank you. So I know WAEPA has a long history of serving the federal government, but what differentiates your life insurance during this open season?
By way of background, we are over 80 years old. We were formed during World War II at the request of President Roosevelt to provide life insurance for civilian federal employees traveling in war zones overseas. And there were a lot of them. And that was basically all of Eastern or Western Europe and all of Asia. So the president said to the Secretary of Treasury, fix this, and WAEPA was born. This was before the federal government had an employee benefits program. That didn't happen until the 1950s. So we're not a government agency. We're not an NGO, but we are part of the federal community and have been for all of this time. And I want to focus on one particular aspect of open season and WAEPA that is really critical for people to think about. As in open season, they open their planning horizon and they cover health insurance because that always happens every year. But life insurance is part of a personal financial plan. For us, it's critical to know that you can keep your life insurance if you leave federal service for any reason. If you retire, if you are part of an early out, if you're RIFT, it doesn't matter, which is different than FEGLI, the federal life insurance program, which is a true group plan, and you can't take those with you anywhere, anytime. If you work for General Dynamics, you leave General Dynamics, you can't take their life insurance policy with you. Ours, you can take it with you. The other very critical, relatively new component is that if somebody leaves federal service and they say, snap, I missed my opportunity by WAEPA. As of 2 years ago, you don't lose your eligibility to join our group. It's a group plan. We have over 50,000 federal employees in it. It's a very solid value with a long history. So I would say, keep that in mind, even though it's turmoil in the federal employee's life right now. I get that. It really is. And it, it affects us as well. But I would say for all aspects of personal financial planning, now is not the time to pull back. That's a natural reaction to turmoil in your workplace or in your in your TSPs. People pull back.
Yeah, sort of going off on that, today's economic landscape, government landscape is fairly complicated. How are you all at WAEPA helping federal employees navigate these issues?
As a nonprofit, we think differently than a for-profit company. And I've been in the insurance business for over 30 years. I've been on both sides, for-profit and nonprofit. We are only dedicated to our members who are civilian federal employees, current and former. That's all we do. Everything, in fact, our nonprofit tax status says right in the IRS code, everything you do must inure to the benefit of your plan holders, of your members of your nonprofit. So we take that very seriously. We do some extra things that a commercial insurer wouldn't do. A big one that's important right now is if you join WAEPA, because it's an association, that's the basic makeup of it. You have access, whether you buy insurance or not, you have access to a custom program that we developed with Ernst & Young of personal financial planning. That can be anything from an individual question, like I need to pay off my college loans. Help me navigate that, to a full-blown financial plan, personal financial plan at no cost. Ernst & Young doesn't sell anything. They're not trying to pitch their own products because they don't have any. And the last thing I will say is it's completely, this is really important, confidential. We don't know your name. We don't know your information. By design, we will never look at that. It's firewalled off with Ernst & Young. And the reason I say that is because this was a plan that was copied off of corporate America plans. It's called Financial Wellness. And one of the biggest, the biggest reason people don't do it isn't because it isn't valuable. It's because they don't want their employer to know their personal financial situation. Now, we're not the employer, but the only thing we get from Ernst & Young is aggregate data at the end so we can figure out how much it costs.
Great. And can you tell us a little bit about your service model? What makes it stand out during this open season rush? I think many of our viewers are very familiar with.
The service model is very one-on-one and personal. If somebody wants to talk to us, we have licensed, trained agents, 20 folks with licenses. These are the people that will answer your phone call, answer your email. We have a chat bot. I think it was launched and going to be relaunched soon. The idea is to communicate with people how they want to be communicated with, but you're going to get a human being. If you want the same human being every time you call, you can ask for that and get it. We spend a lot of time on training these folks. They have life insurance licenses, and that's an annual renewal. It's a lot of work. It's not a casual license. In addition to all the product training and then customer service training they get from us, they also have we have a short-term disability plan. They have special training for short-term disability. So these are highly trained, competent people. And that is really our service philosophy. We don't have call centers off campus. None of that happens with WAEPA. It's all in our office in Falls Church, Virginia, and we'll take care of you all the way through, answer any questions, take care of any needs. If there are any issues, we'll address them real time.
So you mentioned the founding back in the 1940s. Obviously, a lot has changed in the world since then. How does WAEPA stay dedicated to the mission while also evolving with change?
Is an excellent question, because as a nonprofit, we are fiduciaries of other people's money, and we're making promises out into the future, 10, 20, 30 years from now, to pay a life insurance claim. So there's a serious effort made to make sure that we cover our fiduciary duty, that we're prudent with member money. And at the same time, your question implies, are you keeping up with the latest and greatest in the business? And the answer is yes, but I'll give you one example in particular we're very proud of. So we spent several years, we do have a carrier partner, it's New York Life, arguably the best life insurance company in the country. And they're kind of in the background, but they do perform a few functions for us. But in conjunction with them, we developed a underwriting process. Our name is Quick Decision, but the idea is that if you go online and you're interested in a quote, doing an application, just seeing what it costs, you can fill out an application, and it asks you, are you good with us checking a couple of records? People always say yes, because they have to do that at some point anyway. And then you can fill out a whole series of questions. It's not AI-based, but it is a logarithmic kind of approach. It uses algorithms to do everything that used to be done by an underwriter, a human being, real time. And so at the end of a 10 or 15-minute session, you can know right then, hey, I got it. And we do approve most people who apply. But that is a huge difference from the insurance industry I grew up in and the 30 years prior to that, where everything was manual and there were human being underwriters who did everything. And that process would take 2 to 3 weeks. And now you can get it online. And we're rolling out a new approach where our coverage goes up to 1.5 million. That's quite a bit. It's a lot more than Fegley. And all of that is going to be part of this system. It used to be that it would be increments. Okay, we'll experiment with 300,000. We'll experiment with 500,000. Well, we're past that now. So all 1.5 million can be done online real time.
Amazing. That's incredible time savings. So looking toward the nearer term, what is the message that you would like the federal workforce to know heading into open season?
I would say this is true of many products, if you will. during difficult times for consumers, and that's federal employees or just anybody, when your home economics are uncertain, when your paycheck is uncertain, when your job is uncertain. My wife was a federal contractor, and that was over. And, she's master's degree and all kinds of certifications. It doesn't matter, right? It can hit you anywhere along the line. This uncertainty naturally makes people, and rightly so, stall. They want to stay in place. They want to not spend. I would suggest that, number one, this will pass at some point. Don't quote me on that. But don't let that uncertainty stall your looking at your personal finances. This open season, make sure you do a full health insurance review. Life insurance should be part of that. Just check to see if it's enough with the right carrier. I would suggest for any current or former Fed, WAEPA, you should look at that, because you will save money with us, no doubt. And keep moving. And then the final piece of that is, plan for the future. If you're laid off, during the shutdown, how long will it go? We don't know. But generally speaking, if you're a federal employee and subject to this kind of furlough, and presumably people will get paid at the end. Now that seems to be up in the air just the last couple of days. 2 months, 3 months worth of income, so that you can ride through this without having to tap into credit cards to pay your bills. So there's a short-term planning component and a long-term planning component. Don't stop doing that. Do that anyway, regardless of the uncertainty in the economy and then in our workplace.
Well, thank you very much, Shane. I think that's a great set of action items to wrap up our 5 questions today. And to our audience, thanks so much for watching. We hope you gained some valuable insights. And don't forget to subscribe to @GovExec Plus on YouTube. We'll see you next time.